New solutions for new problems. Airport design to save 1 million gallons of jet fuel per day. Habit is habit, and not to be flung out of the window by any man, but coaxed downstairs 1 step at a time. Do you think some habits would change if it could save 1 million gallons of jet fuel per day, along with all the pollution of burning that jet fuel at ground level? It takes a lot of coaxing. Let's take a look at the habits of designing and building airports. It's 1927. There are no scheduled commercial flights. You don't want to risk too much money in occasionally used airports. Planes are light and not nearly as reliable as today's planes. It makes sense to have the planes land in one place and taxi over to a designated place for people. Runways are flat, with a surface of grass, gravel, or dirt. This is the way it is at the Ford Airport in Dearborn, Michigan. Henry Ford sees the future differently, a world where airplanes regularly move people and cargo from city to city. This is something worth investing in. It's 1928, and workers are paving the world's first concrete runways at the Ford Airport. This airport is also home to the world's first airport restaurant and hotel. Ford installs the first runway lights to provide for nighttime flights. Soon, the first scheduled commercial service begins at the Ford Airport. Ford is solving the problems of his day. More durability and consistency is needed than the grass or gravel runways provide. Ford wants scheduled services. Planes are not as safe as they will become, so it's important they touch down away from the terminal. This is a solution that is economical for the low air traffic of 1928. The habit sets in and planes advance in design and capacity. Air traffic increases and larger airports are built to handle the traffic. Today's problems are much different than those faced by Henry Ford. Planes can weigh more than 1 million pounds. It takes a lot of fuel to move the large planes, and burning this fuel at ground level is inefficient and a serious cause of carcinogenic pollution. With millions of passengers passing through the large airports every year, there is an economic impact of traveler time that is built into an airport. Today's airport traffic is growing rapidly. Large airports can have more than 2,000 flights per day. However, airport design is fundamentally unchanged. It's just a bigger version of the Ford Airport. The runways are flat and up to 16,000 feet long in Denver. The runways are away from the people. Thousands of acres of productive farmland are taken out of production. Look at the typical airport visit. The plane lands and brakes by burning fuel and engaging thrust reversers. The plane then taxis 2 miles or more to the gate. The plane empties and loads with new passengers. The plane taxis from the gate to the runway, often for 2 miles or more. The plane might have to wait its turn to take off, burning lots of fuel. Finally, the plane accelerates and takes off. Here is a new design for airports that addresses the issues of modern airplanes and high air traffic. This design features inclined runways to store energy during landing to reuse at takeoff. Gates on top of the terminal at the end of the runway, eliminating the need to taxi. And many other features to save fuel, time, and land while increasing traveler safety. Let's take a look at a typical visit to a starport. The plane lands and decelerates up the runway, storing some kinetic energy as potential energy. There is no need to spend fuel on thrust reversers. At the top of the runway, the plane coasts into its gate, out of the way of other airplanes that are taking off or landing. The plane unloads, loads for its next flight. When cleared for takeoff, the plane starts its engines, pulls away from the gate, and accelerates down the runway. Taxiing is virtually eliminated, and the potential energy of being on top of the terminal is converted to kinetic energy that helps accelerate the plane to flight speed. Here are just some of the savings the Starrport design has for a single visit of a 737 to an airport. Thrust reversal is not needed for braking. This saves 39 gallons of fuel. Taxiing from the runway to terminal is eliminated, saving 146 gallons of fuel. Taxi to takeoff from the terminal to the runway is eliminated, saving 321 gallons of fuel. Since the plane only leaves the gate when cleared for takeoff, there is no idling in line for the runway, which saves 95 gallons of fuel. The total savings is over 600 gallons of fuel for the airport visit. Look at the annual savings to be achieved when the busiest 30 airports are rebuilt to the Starrport design. 11.2 billion gallons of jet fuel are saved. This is a savings of $29.5 billion. The pollution savings is 151 million tons of carcinogenic-laden CO2 emissions. This CO2 savings can be traded as carbon credits with a market value of $3 billion. 20 minutes of flight time is saved for every crew member and passenger flight per leg of their journey. Let's coax the old habits out the door and use new designs for our new problems.